We're currently heading deep into Cape York on the hunt for some big saltwater crocodiles. We've brought the tinny out here with us. There's actually crocodiles in this river that are much bigger than this 3.5 meter tinny, and we're going to be trying to track them down on this trip. Welcome to the Cape. This is part 2 of my North Queensland adventure. Let's get into it. So if you have a look here over these grassy plains, as far as the eye can see, there's these big sculpture-like things, and what these are is they're termite mounds. There are literally thousands of them across these plains, some of them reaching well up over 15 foot in height. If you look across this area, you'll actually notice that all these termite mounds are facing the same direction. These termites will build these mounds running north and south, mysteriously aligned to the Earth's magnetic field to help keep a constant temperature inside the mound. Another cool thing about these termites is they actually build these nests by chewing up dirt and actually placing it onto this big mound. But yeah, it's just another awesome thing that we have here in Australia that you can find when you come out to places like this here in the outback. So after making it to our campsite deep in the Aussie bush, we spotted a massive floodplain about 500 meters from where we set up. So we decided to go for a mission on foot and try to find some saltwater crocodile nests. So what happens is during the wet season here in far north Queensland, there'll be so much rain causing the main river to rise up and fill these floodplains with water. And that's when the big female salties will venture up here looking for a good place to build a nest and lay her eggs. Now, as the wet season finishes and the water resides, big female crocs can actually get caught out and trapped within these floodplains, and we're walking through knee-deep water, more than enough to hide a big croc. But hopefully with a bit of luck, we can find some hatched crocodile eggs. So we're just walking out here in this swamp and we found our first crocodile nest. This is actually so cool. You can see where these crocodiles have actually hatched out of, all these shells down here on the floor.
So with this nest here, what the female crocodiles will do is they'll scratch up a big mound of dirt and vegetation, and as it decomposes, that's what creates the heat inside to incubate the eggs like a big compost. Typically they lay about 40 to 60 eggs inside of a nest like this. These eggs here, we're not sure if they've actually hatched out or not. It's possible a pig or a goanna's actually come in and eaten them. So the temperature inside the nest will actually determine if it's a male or a female crocodile. It's only a very short window of time, not through the whole incubation period. Usually the hotter the nest, the quicker those eggs will develop. It takes about 80 to 90 days for those little crocodiles to hatch out. Typically mum's hanging around this little area guarding the nest, and then she'll hear the crocodiles actually say, they make that little call. It's an instinctive response for that crocodile to come up onto the nest, and then she'll start to scratch it open and she'll help persuade them out of the eggs, and then they'll hang around an area like this, or she'll take them to a deeper area of the river, wherever that might be, and she'll keep an eye on them for up to 8 to 9 months maybe before the next nesting season will come in.
We got another nest just over here. Being very careful, just in case mama croc's sitting around here.
Yeah, that's what they do. They just build it up on vegetation and then it just floats, so as water levels come up, the nest doesn't actually drown. That's the other egg chamber there. Yeah, I don't think these hatched out. Look at that.
Yeah, right. So they didn't hatch.
Yeah, there's a fair few of them in there. Look at that.
But that is a crocodile egg. The sun's just setting over the Cape right now. We're setting up camp for the night. We might go for a bit of a night walk, see if we can eye shine any crocodiles, because we know they're down in this creek system. But yeah, I'm keen for tomorrow. It's gonna be a big day. We spent all day traveling out here, so to get a good sleep, chill around the fire, and see what we can find later on is gonna be really cool. But yeah, it feels good to be out here in Cape York. And this little fella right here is my first Cape York crocodile, a juvenile salty. They're a completely different animal to the big crocodiles that are found in this river. But it is crazy to think that this bloke could reach lengths of over 5 meters one day. We're just creeping up on a decent freshwater croc right now. This is the other species of crocodile that lives here in this river. Believe it or not, this guy would be out there hunting those little salties that we saw earlier. And this is my first wild freshwater croc. We have seen some big crocs tonight, but they're so hard to get close to. I think we might head back to camp and try our luck in the morning. Yep. Oh. He took it for a second there. There we go. What's that? Archerfish. Little archerfish. These guys will actually spit water out of their mouths and hit bugs up in the tree to make them fall in the water. Then they'll eat them. There's so many in here, but we're after Barra, so chuck this guy back in. There we go. Yeah. Oh. Oh, it's a catfish. Oh, you're kidding. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, dropped him.
No, get it back. The whole skull on it.
Is there?
Oh, it's a little better.
Yes. You
That's
got
alright,
one.
eh?
Slab of gold.
There's another one down there too, I saw it.
Hold her up.
Nice little
Not
barra for
bad.
the morning.
So that's what these crocodiles would be feeding on.
Yeah, yeah. And a barra this size could actually eat a little crocodile as well, so it goes
Yeah.
both ways.
True.
Yeah.
Let's get it back in there.
Yeah.
That was the one with my lure in its mouth. Oh, your lure in his mouth.
It just spat it. It's right there, it's floating.
Alright, so this, just down here, is the first snake of the trip. One of the coolest species to find, whoa, out in this creek system. The crazy thing about it is literally 10 meters over that way, there's a creek with crocodiles in it. There could be a big croc sitting right there. Where are you going? See, if I calm down, this snake will calm down as well. They're a non-venomous species. No fangs, no venom. What's he doing? Hey buddy, crawling right over my arm, coming here. Look at that, what a beauty. But yeah, it's day 2 of being out in the Cape at the moment. It's crazy to think that there's a living dinosaur somewhere in this creek system right here. So far, we've found crocodile eggs, crocodile nests, baby crocodiles, and now we're gonna try to track down some big salties today. Get them on camera. We're actually heading out in the boat. So let's jump in the car, get out there and see what we can find. There we go. So we've just come across this black-headed python. We're on the way to look for some crocs and he was just sitting on the side of the road. just had a real go at me then. Perfectly built for areas like this where it gets so hot, and because they do have predators out here, big wedge-tailed eagles, dingoes, wild cats, all of that kind of stuff wants to have a go at this guy. And you see that black head that they got at the front there. So what they'll do is these guys primarily live in little tree hollows, fallen logs on the floor, and they can actually stick their head out of the hollow, and since black is the color that absorbs the most heat, they can warm up their whole body for the day. All reptiles are cold-blooded. The one that we're looking for next, a crocodile, is also cold-blooded, so we're trying to spot them out in the bank as well. But it's cool to see all these other species on the way to hunt for that dinosaur. So yeah, we're gonna let this little guy go, because if I'm not careful, he's definitely gonna whack me on the face in a second. And would you take a look at this massive goanna right down in front of me right here. So we were just driving along the road here and my mate saw him, so he stopped the cars. And the cool thing about these creatures is they have to choose fight or flight. And this guy is so big that he's chosen to defend himself, stand up like that, make himself as big as possible, because this guy is the king out here. Those croc eggs that we found in the nest yesterday, we think that the goannas like this might have actually gotten into the nest last season and eaten them. So what he's doing, right, is he's flicking his tongue out back and forth, and these guys have forked tongues, and they'll actually put their tongue back in their mouth, and wherever the strongest scent is on each side of their tongue, that's how they'll decide where their food is, where they want to go. And what he's doing now by flicking his tongue out is seeing if I'm a threat or not. These guys are actual dinosaurs, but what we're looking for now will eat a goanna like this if it swims across the creek. So we're going to keep heading and see if we can find any crocs.
As soon as we got down to the river, Brody and I were pretty keen to launch the boat and try spot some big salties sitting on the banks. You can actually see that Brody's welded some big bars on the back of his boat so he can't get grabbed by a big salty off the back of it. But yeah, let's head up the river and see if we can find any.
We're just creeping up on the first decent croc of the trip. We launched the boat, got out here. I'm gonna get my big camera up and try to get some footage of them. So this is the saltwater crocodile, the biggest reptile in the world, reaching lengths of over 6 meters long. So there are two species of crocodiles that live here in this river, the freshwater crocodile and this guy right here, the salty. Now, although it's called a saltwater crocodile, don't be fooled by the name because these big guys can be found up in fresh water. In fact, this place that we're in right now is fresh water, so this crocodile is living in it. But yeah, these are true dinosaurs, an animal that's the top of the food chain up here in North Queensland, and something that you do have to be careful of. Unfortunately, there has been fatalities of people up here in North Queensland and around this area in particular.
So in this section of river here, in the late 2000s, there was actually a crocodile fatality. A bloke came down with his kayak and was kayaking this section of river, and a crocodile about 5 meters long actually snatched him from the back of the kayak. You got to be very croc-wise in areas like this. Stay back from the water about 5 meters and don't go kayaking or swimming in the water. That's where most people become unstuck with crocodiles.
And after cruising further up the river, it wasn't long until we'd found another salty sitting up on the bank.
So in the 1940s, 50s and 60s, crocodiles were actually hunted very severely across the top end of Australia for skins and meat, and it was uncontrolled hunting. So anyone could go out with a gun and a boat and shoot them for a living or as a hobby. They protected the species in the late 1960s and early 70s, and what we're seeing now is about 50 years of protection of the crocodiles. So we're seeing an increase in numbers, but they're plateauing. So in places like the Northern Territory, they're not increasing or decreasing anymore. They're a natural level the environment will sustain. Here in Queensland, we probably quite haven't seen that plateau yet. In a few more years, we probably will, and that's when we find crocodiles turning up in places close to people where they've just developed houses or agriculture and whatnot, and people come into conflict with crocodiles.
So We were just walking up this riverbank and we noticed this big croc slide. Normally it wouldn't be this dug out if it was an actual croc slide. So what we think is that a big female's come up here, made a nest, laid some eggs, so we're just gonna go check it out. And I can see a nest just over there right now. Yeah, look at this. So these are all crocodile eggs, which would have hatched out a couple of months ago. You can see this big mound that the females made. It's crazy to think that at one point there was a 3-meter croc sitting right where I am right now, guarding these eggs. So some of them, like this one, has hatched out, but these ones down here still have the embryo inside of them. So what I'm thinking is maybe some wild pigs came through here, tore up the nest while the mother was down in the water and couldn't hear them. But yeah, so cool to see wild crocodile eggs out here in the Cape. So we were just walking this stream that runs out of the main creek that we've been seeing these crocs at, and we found this big broadshell turtle. He's just crossing from pool to pool. Now, believe it or not, the big salties will actually feed on these turtles, crunch the shell with that incredible bite power that they have. So the big crocs that are in this river, the big 4 to 5 meter salties, can crunch this turtle shell with 3,000 to 5,000 pounds per square inch. It's pretty much like a car dropping on top of you. So these turtles, even though they've got a bit of protection on their back, stand no chance for these big salties. He's about to go for a bit of a move, back up into the pool from this little pool over here. Here we go.
After seeing how many big salties were in this one stretch of river, we decided to take the boat out, spotlighting them after dark.
So we just launched the boat, came out here on the river at night, and what we're doing now is we're spotlighting crocodiles. So these crocs' eyes, when you put a flashlight on them, it'll actually glow red. So we're just cruising down the river, seeing if we can see any. There's a lot of small crocs out, so I'm keen to get some of them on camera. But yeah, how cool is this? Croc-infested creek, cruising down it in a little tinny, see if we can find anything. Yep, so we just got a little salty up here on the bank over here. We're gonna cruise over and get some shots of it. Look at this, little saltwater crocodile sitting here, probably eating some little fish, maybe frogs. It's crazy to think that maybe one day this guy could be a 5-meter monster. Let's see if we can find anything else. These juvenile crocodiles that we're seeing tonight would have hatched out this season. The nest that we were finding, that would be from these same sets of crocodiles. And there's so many little ones that we're seeing in the river at the moment. So it's cool to see that there's a good population of them, and a lot of them hatched and actually made it to the water. Alright, so it's been a really cool night spotlighting crocodiles. We're gonna head back to camp now and continue the adventure tomorrow. How cool is that?
So my main goal on this Cape York trip was to film a 4+ meter saltwater crocodile, because that to me is a monster croc, and that's something that I've always wanted to see in the wild. So on our final morning of the trip, we went to check out a small section of river that we hadn't explored yet, and it wasn't long until we'd found signs that there was a big croc in the area.
So we were just walking up this creek, and what we found right here is a massive croc slide. Now you can see where he's been digging his feet in and actually moving from a pool down there to this pool up here, all along here. And you can see this massive footprint. This is his back foot right here. There's his toes at the front and the massive pad at the back there. Literally look at that thing. We're estimating that this could be a 4-meter crocodile. And he's gone straight from this sandbank into this little pool right here. So we're gonna get the drone up in the air and see if we can find him. So we just got the drone up in the air. It's crazy to think that somewhere in this pool is a 4+ meter crocodile. And you wouldn't think it either. The river that we were going up in the boat, that's where you'd imagine a big croc to be, not these little cut-off pools, but that just proves that there are big crocodiles around here, and you do have to be careful even in places like this. Yeah, look at this creek system that we're flying through right now. So cool. There we go. Big crocodile sitting on the, 2 big crocodiles sitting on the bank up the end here. Take a look at that. These things are monsters. There's one really big one here, and that's the croc that this slide would have been from. So this is the largest species of crocodile in the world, the saltwater crocodile, and they have been known to reach lengths of over 6 meters long. They are true prehistoric dinosaurs, and we're lucky enough to live with them here in Australia. But you do have to be careful, you do have to be croc-wise. If you follow all the right steps, you will not get eaten by a crocodile. It's as simple as that. Stay away from the water. Even in little pools, assume that there's a big crocodile sitting in them. Don't go swimming, kayaking, and just be aware of these true dinosaurs that we're lucky enough to live with. They are one of the oldest creatures to ever walk the planet, dating back 240 million years. They have kept almost the exact same appearance because, well, why change if you don't need to? These guys are killing machines, and they're perfectly built for an environment like this. I have so much respect for crocodiles, and it's weird because I live on the sunny coast, which is about 20 hours down south, and we don't have to worry about anything like crocodiles down here. So coming up to an environment where the rules are completely different, you have to start thinking in a different mindset when you get up here. If I saw a turtle in the creek down in the sunny coast, I'd be jumping on it, but I have to hold myself back here.
So the crocodiles we just seen on the drone, they're actually basking now. They have to bask to maintain their body temperature. We're what you call endotherms, so we eat a lot of food all the time to sort of maintain our constant body temperature. Crocodiles have to do it through an external source. So when they get too hot, they go in the water. Too cold on a day like today, this is cold in far North Queensland, they're going to be up on the banks trying to warm up in the sun. Now, one of the biggest issues with people and crocodiles is people actually interacting with them and feeding them. And when you feed a crocodile, it loses its fear of people, and it starts associating people or camps with boat ramps with food, and it approaches them. It becomes a very dangerous animal. Those crocodiles often get shot or relocated to a crocodile park. But most of the time in these remote areas, unfortunately, the animal is euthanized. They used to relocate them years ago, but the problem about crocodiles is they have magnetoreceptors in their inner ears, so they can actually come back to the original capture site. For an example of this, they caught a crocodile many years ago on the west coast of Cape York. They flew it by helicopter to the east coast, and within a couple of months, that crocodile had swum all the way around the tip of Australia, back within 100 meters of where it was first caught from. Some crocs do it, some crocs don't, but the majority of relocated crocodiles will come back from the studies that they've done.
Yeah, I'm just gonna follow these guys around for a bit, bring the drone back in, and continue the adventure. That's actually so cool. And that is part 2 of my North Queensland adventure. I just wanted to say a massive thanks to my mate Brody for taking me out there. He's a legend, he's worked with crocs for years, knows everything about them, and I couldn't have asked for a better person to take me out and show me some big salties. So here's his Instagram up on the screen right now if you want to go check him out, and I'll no doubt be up North Queensland again soon doing some more filming with him. If you didn't tune into part 1, we filmed some crazy animals in that video as well, so it's up on my channel right now. now, go check it out. My life lately has been really exciting. I've been so content with filming videos, traveling, going on road trips like this, finding all these amazing species, and having a platform like YouTube where I can show you all my adventures. I love making videos and I would love to be making them for a long time, so if you want to support me, you can leave a comment down below, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, thank you so much. I'll see all you legends next weekend in the next adventure.